What's going on, guys? So another Blind Reacts, except still been dealing with Charles Manson a little bit, but this one is kind of looking at sort of the surrounding body around the cult of Manson and what they did. So kind of talking to friends and family and stuff like that. So here we go.
Angeles. And standing out amongst all others, this palatial residence is famously home to the stars. It's also infamous for one of America's most iconic crimes, the shocking scene of mass murder on the orders of crazed cult leader Charles Manson.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. You do exactly what I said.
It may have been 50 years ago, but time does nothing to ease the horror.
Whatever is necessary to do, you do it.
5 people were slaughtered here in the dead of the night, including the stunning and heavily pregnant Hollywood actress Sharon Tate.
Can I ask you, how keenly do you miss Sharon today, 50 years on?
I would love to have her here. Sharon was my big sister. Do I miss her? Yes. Would I like her here? Yes. Do I have this pain every day? No, I don't. But it's not far from the surface. Do I want revenge on these people? No, there is no such thing.
But
you know what's sad about that is you can see her neck is kind of, you can see her neck is kind of curled up. As if she's holding back emotion. And the bad thing about this is that chronic stress can be a big factor in people passing away early. And so if you have stress that you're holding on to, it's sort of what I call an intangible thing. You need to make sure that you're working it out of your system, not holding grudges and not being bitter, because I think this is something that happened 50 years ago. And it's tough, man. It's something that, people still hold on to. I mean, you're never going to let this go. And so there's a pain around it. You can see it, the sort of the tightness in her shoulders up here. So it's really unfortunate.
Deborah Tate believed the surviving Manson family could ever be allowed to go free. Right now, that is a very real possibility for Leslie Van Houten. Her parole will be either permitted or denied within weeks.
I don't think that people that were condemned to death that are undoubtedly guilty of the most heinous crimes in American history should be let out simply because they're 60 years old.
She's looking
I believe
more,
an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
She's coming out, and she's apparently trying a rehabilitation tour at that point. So she's coming out looking sad and contrite.
That's the way I believe.
You don't believe that after 50 years there's hope for rehabilitation? Or room for forgiveness?
I don't believe in parole. No, I don't believe in that.
It's fair.
Do you look back on that very fateful day and wish you'd never taken the call?
For Bob Burbridge, one of the first cops on the scene, the memory of those on the 9th of August 1969 will never be erased.
How would you describe what you saw?
Oh, it was horrific. I mean, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I've never seen that many bodies in one place before. And it was horrible. It was just horrible. They were young people. They were innocent. People were slaughtered by Newton. It was awful.
I love all the pain that you've caused people, all the anguish you've caused.
I don't know pain. I don't know pain. I have no depth of pain. I have no depth of suffering. I don't know ridicule.
The rantings of a madman. Charles Manson in full flight.
Fault makes strong. Good pain. Understand pain. Not bad. Pain's not bad. It's good.
But somehow, Manson made sense to the disaffected and impressionable. He collected them, mainly young women.
God loves us to be beautiful, and He let us be beautiful.
And as their self-declared messiah, set up a commune at an old ranch just half an hour north of Los Angeles. To outsiders and filmmakers, Manson's ranch was what the 60s was all about. Free love and plenty of Ellie. But it would soon turn much darker.
Correct.
His biggest talent, if you will, an evil talent, was to prey on the very, very young and vulnerable. Some of his followers were as young as 12 years old.
Journalist Linda Deutsch is a longtime observer of Charles Manson and the girls who were drawn to him.
The people who followed Manson were, as he said, these are your children. And they were children from ordinary families who got sucked into a cult. He could say the most inane things and they would think that it was gospel.
Right.
So they were young and they were damaged. Were they insane?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they were insane. I think they were drug-addled at that point.
Manson's gospel soon became deranged and
Ready to die for Charlie? He's ready to die for me. He has died for me.
he wanted to kickstart a race war. His plan was to commit mass murder, make it look like it was done by black militants.
You have to be ready right now, right here, right now.
A wannabe musician, Manson thought the Beatles song, Helter Skelter, was an anthem to Armageddon, a message to him to get things started.
Charlie was a piece of work, I'll tell you. He was out there.
It was the 9th of August, 1969, the night Manson turned his...
You can see that right there. In his younger days, in some of the other interviews, he tried to act innocent and like, I didn't do anything. I didn't communicate that I wanted these women to do anything. But here we can clearly see his attitude and his demeanor, very menacing, very calculated, very locked into what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's manipulating people, and he enjoys having power over these women in the way that he does. And so he is happy, as he mentioned before in the previous analysis that I did, I think on the 60 Minutes one, he talked about Jesse James and sort of that underworld kind of deal. So he knows exactly what he's doing, but he got caught, and he wants to say he didn't do anything to anyone. But this is what you're doing, Charles.
Unthinkable plan into action.
When somebody needs to be killed, there's no wrong. You do it. And then you move on.
Aiming to create panic, Manson chose the celebrity home of Sharon Tate and her movie director husband, Roman Polanski.
Roman and Sharon have talked to me.
Polanski was away that night. Unaware of what was to come, Sharon was entertaining friends. What do you think those last moments were like?
Oh, it must have been terrifying for these people, you know. They were just slaughtered.
It was late, and Manson sent a posse of devotees from his ranch into the heart of Los Angeles.
Dang.
The blood, the nuns that these people took. It wasn't one or two nuns, it was a lot. We were just completely stabbed and stabbed and stabbed and stabbed. Nothing compares to it, to that Marine.
Manson ordered his longtime lieutenant, Tex Watson, and two of his lovers, Susan Atkins and Patricia Krenwinkel, to break into the Tate Polanski home and kill whoever they found.
It was a man down call at 10050 Cielo Drive.
25 and just 3.5 years in the job, Bob Burbridge was on call that morning. 6 minutes later, he was at the Tate house, joining other bewildered officers on the scene of unimaginable mayhem.
So I walked in and I came upon a car that was parked kind of askew in the driveway. And I looked into the car and there was a dead body in the car. I looked on the lawn about 75 feet away on the front lawn, there were two more bodies. We systematically searched the house, room by room, closet, under beds, bedrooms, hallways. And then we looked into the living room.
That tells us something. Wherever I'll catch you where you lay. I'm a hunter. They hunted people, and that's very menacing. That is a very menacing. We just saw on Charles's face, very menacing. Man, I can't put it into words right now what that is, but that's very predatory. Is the word.
We saw two more bodies. One was with this beautiful lady laying there in her bra and underwear, full term pregnant, and with a rope wrapped around her neck, going around a beam in the ceiling in the living room. Oh man, it's hard to... It's so clear in my mind, you know.
Vicious.
It's hard. It bothers me.
What Bob didn't know as he looked at the slain Sharon Tate was that her stabbing would become one of the biggest news stories of all time.
These just stunned America and the world. This was a worldwide story. They involved everything that we were thinking of then: celebrities, hippies, drugs.
Linda Deutsch was a young reporter filing for Associated Press at the time of the Manson. She had the first story on the murder and followed the case through to trial. It's been said that on the 9th of August 1969, the night of the murder of Sharon Tate and her friends, that the 60s stopped.
The 60s as we knew them, the time of flower power and happiness and joy and love and all of that was over. It was now a time of fear, great fear. The Los Angeles where this happened was in terror.
I'm gonna come back and do a part 2 to this, but I just want to wrap up here and say that it's extremely it's interesting that just the way in which they moved as a unit. These were not just prissy women that just broke into homes the way that he taught them. Based on how Charles was in that 1981 interview and then in 1993 with Diane Sawyer, he was a monster. He was a menace to society. He really embodied the value of a sort of an outlaw. Like he mentioned Jesse James, he really embodied that, the spirit of that. And he took that seriously. And I believe if we were to be able to sit in on a Charles Manson congregate with these women and a session and just be a fly on the wall, you would have seen the vitriol and the vigor and the hate that he spits toward humankind. I think when he gets in front of cameras, he wants to turn it off. But when he gets in front of those women, you can see hate coming and emitting from him. I think that's where it is. So it's given me a little bit of a better understanding of the predatory nature of this guy and the manipulative, wanting to blame it on the black military movement. I'm going to cause all this disruption, and then I'm going to move and just look at how foolish they are. They fight. They don't even know who did it, and I orchestrated it. He wants to be that world powerful leader. Manipulation. So come back and we're going to continue this on the next video. But until next time, take care.